What is title insurance and do you need it? So I get this question a lot from buyers who are going towards the finish line of closing escrow on their home. They're looking at their estimated settlement statement and they see this fairly big ticket item on there for title insurance. And they also see that it says on there optional. And people ask me, hey, wait, do I need this? In our area, because home prices are so high, also title insurance tends to be high. And the total costs for title insurance policy oftentimes hovers in the $3,000 to $5,000 range. And for most of the counties in the San Francisco Bay Area, aside from Santa Clara County, it is the buyer who pays for their own and the lender's title insurance policy. So what exactly is title insurance? So basically, the title of the property refers to sort of the ownership record of the property. So different entities, different people or companies that you owe money to can put what's called a lien on your property so that if your home is ever sold, they can get paid back through the sale. So for example, when you are taking out a mortgage on your property, the bank puts a lien on your home. So when you're selling the home and the escrow is looking at the title report, they see that you owe, for instance, $800,000 to this bank so that they cannot sell the home. They cannot record the transfer of ownership without ensuring that that mortgage company's demand gets paid off. So another example is, let's say a contractor did a job at your house. They, let's say, replaced the roof and they charged you $25,000 to do it. And you paid them a deposit of $10,000. But for some reason, there was a disagreement or something happened. You didn't like the job that they did. And you said, well, I'm not paying you. They are able to put a lien on your property for the amount that you owe them based on the work that they did. And then any disputes that may happen through court would now adjust the amount that they could get paid back through this lien that they have on your property. Another example of a lien on a property is, let's say you got into a dispute with somebody in a business transaction of some sort and they sued you personally and they won. And they got a judgment for $50,000. For one reason or another, you said, well, I can't pay this. I'm not going to pay this. The court is able to put a lien against your home for the amount of the judgment so that whenever you one day go to sell this home, they are able to get paid back that amount. Now, generally speaking, you're able to see all the liens that are on a property before buying a home by reviewing the preliminary title report that an escrow officer in our area puts together during the pre-escrow period. So usually there is a hierarchy of which liens will be visible on the property. First and foremost are always going to be taxes. It'll start with county taxes, so your property taxes that you owe. So if you have any outstanding taxes, the local government will always be able to have a lien on your property. Also, if you owe any federal back taxes or anything like that, they will have a lien on your property. And that is going to be the first position lien holder before anybody else. The government will get paid back from the sale of your home before anybody else does. After that, you have your primary mortgage, which is going to be referred to oftentimes as the first position lien holder. Obviously, it's not technically the first position because the government always is the first position, but we always assume that the government is going to get their money first. So we'll just say that the first position is going to be your primary mortgage. And if you have any home equity line of credit or any secondary loan mortgage against the property, that will come after that. Then usually will be any sort of contractor liens or court judgments or things like that. If you like this video so far, please let me know by hitting the subscribe button to support our channel. I appreciate it. So the purpose of title insurance then is basically saying that when you buy a home and this person had a mortgage lien and maybe they had a judgment against them, that the escrow officer slash title officer in our area is reviewing all these things and making sure that, let's say, for example, you bought the home for $2 million and they have a mortgage of $1 million and they have another $100,000 that they owe to somebody else for a past lawsuit or something. And so let's say it's $1.1 million that they have to pay. The escrow title officer is going through that to ensure that any liens that are out there, they do a search and they do their due diligence to make sure that any liens that are out there are paid back before you take ownership of the home. And what this insurance is insuring you against is somebody coming out of the woodwork and then saying, oh, hey, actually, I was owed $50,000 from this job that I did a while ago. I never had time to file it with the county, but here is the documentation, and I'm putting a lien on this property because I can't find the person who sold you the house, so it's going against you. So title insurance insures you and guarantees that no matter what happens, they will now deal with that. You will not have to deal with that. So just like all insurances, the likelihood of something like that happening is incredibly small. So a lot of people will say to me, hey, the likelihood of this happening is very, very small. So I don't want to pay this optional $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 title insurance policy. Well, let me tell you a story of what happened to me recently with a property that I bought in the state of Kansas. So I bought this property, and obviously I paid for title insurance and bought the property and implemented my own mortgage on it and have my own liens on it now. And I got the title free and clear, guaranteed to me. Well, it turns out that the previous seller of that property wrote the county a check for their property taxes. Maybe a few weeks before close of escrow, they got the check. They said, okay, great. This has been paid. There's no property taxes. We're good to go. Title is free and clear. The title escrow company says, okay, great, free and clear. We can transfer ownership. Well, it turns out that the check bounced. And only a couple of months later did the county update the records to say, hey, actually, this is not paid. There are $3,000 worth of property taxes due. It does not follow the entity, because it was a company that sold me the home. It doesn't follow the entity who bought the home. It instead stays with the home. So dear new homeowner, Joseph Poliak, you now have a lien on your property for $3,000 worth of property taxes. Well, obviously, I'm like, excuse me, what's going on here? So I call the escrow officer who handled the sale of my property, and they say, hey, guess what? We actually heard about this recently. We found out about it. When you got your letter, we were doing some research. We found out. We're on top of it. Our attorneys are going to deal with it. We're going to pay off this lien right now out of our own money to make sure this doesn't reflect on you, your credit, anything related to that, to make sure there's nothing. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to go after the previous seller to make sure we get paid back. You have nothing to worry about. Sorry for the inconvenience. Have a great day. That happened to me recently. So the likelihood of something like that happening is very, very small, but it's possible. If I didn't have title insurance, they would not have covered it. For that reason, just like the reason why you have homeowners insurance and car insurance and life insurance and all other insurances, I think title insurance is very important, and I would highly caution against ever passing on it, just because it's unlikely that something like that will happen to you. So let me ask you, do you have a story of where you bought title insurance and it went into effect and you had no issues? Or do you have the reverse story where you didn't buy title insurance and you had a nightmarish, horrible situation? I'd like to hear both. Please drop them in the comments below. Thank you for sticking around, and I hope you learned something new today. Check out the other videos on our channel, and don't miss out on a future video by subscribing and following wherever you're watching this video. Thank you, and I'll see you on the next one.